Okay, here's what the blanket flower looks like right now. January, what's today's date? January 12th, 2024. And this is what the blue mist flower looks like. January 12th, 2024. I think that's what I said. Here's what the walk up the main path looks like today in January. Here's what the ironweed looks like today. It's starting to kind of lean over in front of the gate. And then this is what the coral honeysuckle looks like on January 12th. It's a lot more sparse. Doesn't provide as much screening in the winter, but you still get a little bit of something. There's a really good example of it up on top of the gate. But you can see that it does have some decent sized stems as it gets older and more mature. And it does keep some of its leaves, but not especially well. It's like just sparse leaves. And you get a little bit of berries too. Those little red berries. And the underside of the leaves are like a blue-green, kind of a pale, almost white blue. But yeah, it drops a lot of its leaves, but it doesn't drop all of its leaves. And what else do we have? Here is mountain mint. January 12th, mountain mint. You can see the little, let me focus on that. You can see the little holes where the seeds are, or where they were. They may have already come out by now. And then here's some leaves. So mountain mint looks very sparse right now. And then a non-native plant, bane of my existence, is Bermuda grass, right here. And this is what it looks like in the winter in January. So, oh, a bird just flew right over my head. And passion vine is completely gone and dormant all the way to the ground in winter pretty much. So all you get are these little spindly stems that are very hollow, I would say, is how I would describe them. They're not hollow right here on the main stem, but they don't feel very sturdy. This one actually does kind of feel sturdy, so I take that back. But most of the side shoots are not going to be sturdy. My inkberry holly is kind of being taken over right now by a lot of other plants and vines, so it probably doesn't look its best right now, but that's inkberry holly. It's still got some of its leaves during the winter. I have trouble with inkberry holly, and I don't know if it's just because I have such a dense planting around it and it just doesn't like competition or what. Like this one died. That's an inkberry holly that died. There's a mantis egg sac on there I need to get rid of. And here's the walk back down. Oh, and here's more ironweed. Here's what the seed heads look like right now. They look very fluffy where they still have seeds. But they've lost a lot of their seeds by now, so I think the birds are chirping at me because I think they want to feast on some of this stuff, and I'm just in their way because I'm recording. So But yeah, look how pretty that is when they still have their seeds. But we've had a lot of wind and rain lately, which the rain is welcome. The wind, take it or leave it. But it disperses the seeds. Here's more blue mistflower. As you can see, it has toppled over. Just, I don't know, maybe the weight of the rains and things. There's some seeds on there still, but not as many. Here's purple coneflower right now. Purple coneflower is a nice plant to leave up all winter because, you know, I mean, all of these are for me, but this one especially because it has a really pretty shape to it and kind of a crazy shape to it, and the birds love these seeds. So I'm going to zoom in on that as much as I can so you can see that. Yeah, there's that spiky seed head. So that's what purple coneflower looks like in January. And then right next to it we have partridge pea, which basically looks like just sticks. So keep that in mind. It is one of my favorite annual native plants just because it's just so easy to grow. Here's like the seed pods have burst open and released most of their viable seeds, I bet, by now. Looks like there's a little bit of seeds left. I don't know if they're viable or not. You can kind of see them in there. But what's cool is their seed pods kind of turn like a reddish brown, which is actually kind of pretty. But they're so sparse because they drop a lot of these seed pods. They don't really hold on to very many of them. So it's not really ornamental very much. You just don't get a ton of them staying on the plant, but you know, it's still a great plant. And then this is what elderberry looks like in January. Black elderberry. I have a wild black elderberry, and I have, I think, 2 John's cultivars, and I forget which is which. This might be a John's cultivar. I can't really remember. But this is what it looks like in January. It's kind of hard to capture the... There we go. You can kind of see the stems there. It doesn't really provide much to look at in the winter, except it has really cool bark. It has really cool, like, polka dots on the bark, which is pretty cool. I like that. That's the most interest it has, and maybe over time as it gets denser, maybe it'll provide a little bit more winter interest, but for now, we've just got like the bark to look at. Alright, here's more purple coneflower seed heads mixed in with some other things like frostweed and gara, things like that. We didn't really look at the prairie, but here's the prairie. The prairie is very prairie-like. I mean, you know, it's dense. We've got gara, we've got partridge pea, we've got purple coneflower, we've got mountain mint, we've got liatris on this side. And I think if you look close enough, if I zoom in far enough, you can see the gara. I think that's the gara right there. There are some green leaves still there, and I think that's the gara. Now up front, I have some goldenrod. It's a special, I think it's like fireworks goldenrod, and I think that's what this is, because that's what I planted there. So I think this is fireworks goldenrod. The leaves are coming back. You know, here's the old stalk. You can kind of see, oh, here's the old stalk. So hopefully that'll come back. One of them kind of doesn't look like it's gonna come back. Looked like it actually came out of the ground, unfortunately. But anyway, so that's what that looks like in January. Here's a sweep of the garden in January. You can see most of the greenery that I have are arborvitaes. Oh, you probably want to see the archway. Here's the archway in January. You can really pretty much just see the basic structure of it because the passion vine is dormant now. And I currently only have passion vine growing on it. I want to add other native vines eventually when I add more structure, because I need to add more structure to this archway anyways. And then more mist flower. There's a mix of things here. I think I have penstemon back here, which is a new plant, and it's really back in here. But those bigger leaves are penstemon, if I can focus on that. Those bigger leaves that are kind of gray looking right now are penstemon. So hopefully I can remove some things from around the penstemon and give it a little bit more breathing room, because I think it wants more sun than what it has right now. Didn't anticipate how much everything would grow around it. I think I have some Gara in here, maybe some Lanceleaf Coreopsis. I think that Lanceleaf Coreopsis might have some leaves right now, but I don't know, that could be the Gara. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment. Maybe you can tell me in the comment section what that is. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of asters. Who knows what that is? It could be asters. I've been letting the asters go to seed, so... Okay. So this is what the peninsula bed looks like from this perspective in January. This is what the non-native plant, this crepe myrtle, looks like in January. And yes, I focus on native plants, so no, I would not have planted this if I would have known back in the day that this wasn't native and that this wasn't really as beneficial to wildlife. I would have picked something else for the center of the garden, but my mom helped me plant this. This is one of the first trees. Actually, this might have been the first tree I ever planted, or maybe the second tree I ever planted. And she helped me with it and helped me pick it out. So it's kind of in memory of her. So, you know, I still love this tree even though it's not native. And I know crepe myrtles are hated on by native plant people, and I get it. They're overused and overplanted, and that's why I planted it, probably, is because that was back when I was just learning how to garden and just looking at what other people around me were doing and what they had. But it is a beautiful plant. I am going to just say it. It is a beautiful plant, especially in the fall. I actually prefer it in the fall when the leaves turn like yellows and oranges. Kind of red-orange. This is a bed that I've completely revamped in the fall. Late summer, early fall 2023. Revamped it, pulled a bunch of stuff out, had a lot of invasive non-native grasses in it. It's probably, I definitely need to pull a bunch of weeds here, because when you disturb the soil, it really creates weeds, and we're getting a lot of those cold season weeds right now, so I need to go through and pull those. But I do have some things I've planted that are coming up, like dill, and some Rudbeckia is kind of coming in and out. Like, I noticed it, depending on the weather, it kind of flushes back in and out with leaves. So that's what this bed looks like right now, kind of barren. We've got stems of bee balm. And then back to the peninsula bed, I did want to show that, oh, the birds are freaking out. Okay. Alright. I think I scared the birds. Sorry, guys. So, like I mentioned in a previous video about garden design, you want to design gardens around your trees and shrubs, or you want to plant a tree or your shrubs in a bed of other smaller plants. And it's easier to start with your tree and then quickly plant around it. The longer you wait, the more you will have mature roots in your way. So this is a small Washington hawthorn tree, and among it I have planted a whole bed of things. This was originally a non-native annual bed for the most part that had a few natives in it. And over time I've added more and more natives to it. So it still has some non-natives like Verbena bonariensis, and sometimes a zinnia or a Mexican sunflower will pop up in it. I definitely have non-native grasses I need to dig out of it every once in a while. But it has a lot of natives. It has lensleaf coreopsis, the Washington hawthorn, blue mistflower, ironweed, rudbeckia, asters, purple lovegrass. And then there's a plant that I always get mixed up. It's either gray-headed coneflower or cutleaf coneflower. And I get those two mixed up, so I don't remember which one, because I have seeds for both, and I don't know, I forget which one I planted here, but I have that in there. And it actually still has leaves right now, I think, which is interesting. So I'll show you what that looks like right now, since it still looks green. It's kind of pretty. It's right here. Let me zoom in on some of it. You can see it's those larger, it's not large leaves, but larger than what's around it there. And it has the veins that are kind of, I don't know if you call it parallel, but they look more parallel to me than branching. They branch a little bit though. And then over here you can see a better example of it. And it is green right now, so it makes me wonder if these are kind of evergreen or semi-evergreen, or if we just haven't had enough of a cold snap for them to go away. But you can see a little bit of pretty coloring on this section of leaves right now. There's yellow and kind of a pinky red rusty color. So it looks like they change color, but it looks like it takes them a little while, so they kind of last a little bit further into the winter than some of this other stuff, native plant-wise. And they're planted amongst the non-native Verbena bonariensis, and so you're seeing a little bit of the Verbena bonariensis leaves with it, but that other thing, the native one, is either cut leaf coneflower or gray-headed coneflower, I think. I'm just not sure which. If you guys know, let me know down below. But this is another leaf on it, just so you can see it. Sorry if that's not focused. See how it has kind of like some pink and green, but then some of it is just more green? That's what they look like right now. What else do I have? It looks like I have a lot of Verbena bonariensis in here. I could probably give some of that away. It's not native, but I love it, so it's probably because I have an emotional attachment to it, because it's one of my earliest butterfly-loving plants that I've put in. But anyway, here's what late purple aster looks like in January. That's what the seed heads look like. I've been collecting some of the seeds because I definitely want more of this. This is a fantastic plant for fall. Just beautiful purple blooms. And it's a host plant for some butterflies. I think it's a host plant for the pearl crescent. And maybe the checker spot. Don't quote me on that one though. And bee balm. This is what mountain mint and bee balm look like right now. I actually have them tied back. I've had them tied back for a while. This is a reminder that I need to put in some stakes, some plant supports, because the wire doesn't do a lot. It keeps it from completely flopping over, but it doesn't keep it, like, it gives it this weird middle of nothingness, so I need to fix that next time. But this is mountain mint, and this is bee balm. So that's how you can tell. Bee balm, you know, more close together, smaller, less leaves to look at. But the mountain mint, fatter seed heads. Look at the seeds coming off there. Fatter seed heads and more leaves holding on. Okay, I'm running out of running out of space on my card. So next we have some American plums that are really just babies right now. I don't even know if they're alive because I've transplanted them, but I think they're alive because I think I see some color. I think I see some color in this one. So I think it might have survived the transplant, which would be amazing. I'm not 100% sure though, but I think it has. This one I'm not so sure. Well, it has some color too. It's very tiny. You could probably not even see it. But I've also added, this is a brand new plant, so bear with me. But this is crossvine, and right now it has very purpley leaves, at least on the underside. Purpley leaves on the underside and more green on top. Actually, some of them are purple on top. That's pretty. And this is a brand new plant, so I have very little going on with it right now. As you can see, it's very sparse. It's just right there and right there. So I'm gonna train it up my fence, and it's supposed to provide some winter interest, so we'll see. Now this one I'm excited to show you. I am very excited to show you this one because this one is Carolina Jessamine, and the reason I'm excited to show it is, if you'll notice, it still has a lot of green. It still looks really pretty, and it's January, and it gives you some winter interest, some screening, some beauty, and it is native. It's Carolina Jessamine. I am blanking on the botanical name, so if I remember to put that in the video, I will. But I highly recommend it, actually. It did get knocked back by the frost last year, but it came right back from the ground in multiple stems, so it is resilient. And here, let me just kind of, see? Look how good that is. Now I just need to train it properly so that it can cover the fence a little bit better. But that's on me. I just need to get better at training it, but I think it's a beautiful plant. The birds are really going off. But here's what it looks like. From this angle, it kind of gets these stems that kind of go up in like an arch. And it has kind of like reddish leaves every now and then. I'll try to zoom in on one of those so you can see it. Yeah, there you go. So it gets like these kind of reddish colors on it too. But right now it's still mostly green. And it does have an interesting habit of popping up in this bed. Oh, it looks like I have a little bit of dieback on that. I should probably check on that, but if I can find it, I'll show you. It tends to get stems coming into this garden bed. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Alright, you see that purpley stem and then those green leaves? That, I think, is the Carolina Jessamine coming into the bed from the fence. So keep that in mind. Now, a cool thing we might be able to do is we might be able to propagate it by layering, since it's on the ground right here. Might be able to wound the stem and create roots. And that can take a few months, so I don't know. I think that's something that you would do more in the growing season. I don't think it's active right now, but I could be wrong. So, and then here's the first section of arborvitae hedging, and that is giving me that winter evergreen interest. And I also have non-native hollies. I wanted native hollies, but they didn't have any available at that particular time, and I had somebody put these in for me, so that's why those are non-native hollies. But the arborvitaes are technically native, but it's like a cultivar situation, I think. So, and then here's the red bud on this side of the garden, looking gorgeous even in the winter. I actually really love the bark. I think the bark on this is beautiful, but I am running out of time so quickly. So this is Obedient Plant, and yeah, I'm surprised that it is still green right now. Very surprised. It even kind of looks like it has a flower spike, but I don't know, like, it's like undeveloped, I guess. Isn't that interesting? Obedient Plant. In January. Yeah. And more arborvitae hedge, giving us some winter greenery to look at. And then the beautyberry shrub is kind of low on berries now. Looks like I have an invasive popping in here. I need to get rid of that vine that is, I think, Japanese honeysuckle vine. So I need to get rid of that. This is a great time of year to see your invasive plants because a lot of them will be evergreen. But not all. So that's what that looks like. And there's our Eastern Red Cedar, which I plan to keep trimmed so that it stays more like a little Christmas tree, I guess. I don't really want it to get much taller than me. And then over here we have the black cherry tree, which I should probably step back so you can see the whole thing. Actually, still can't see the whole thing. But there's the black cherry tree in January. And it looks like I'm going to have to make a part 2 because I'm running out of space. So that's what the garden looks like in January. Bye, guys. You all requested it, and it's finally here. Reduce Your Lawn shirts are now available in my brand new merch shop. Thanks so much for supporting the wildlife habitat we're creating. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!